previous part ended when Cardi became enraged and activated his red dragon armor. The paladin, amused, revealed a sleek combat suit and challenged him, claiming it was one of the Holy Sea's 36 masterpieces. Let's kick off today's recap. But before we dive in, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Meanwhile, the Red Dragon raid force was in the midst of evacuating civilians, forming a protective perimeter around the fleeing crowd. Their squad leader stood at the front, giving calm yet urgent orders. The Red Dragon raid force will buy time for your escape. Soldiers, secure the safety of every citizen, no matter what it costs. A distant war cry echoed. Suddenly, the orcs began their assault. The squad leader raised his sword and shouted, "Hold your ground! Do not let them through!" But the tide was overwhelming. "There are too many of them, squad leader!" One soldier cried out as they clashed with the enemy. The leader gritted his teeth and roared back, "Then we hold until the very end!" Charging into the fray, he slashed an orc cleanly across the neck. Blood sprayed as the beast's head flew off, but there was no time to rejoice. All around him, more of his comrades were falling under the brutal assault. "Damn it," he thought. "They're stronger than expected. And the numbers, they're drowning us. If the captain were here, we wouldn't be on the verge of collapse." As the situation turned dire, a sudden flash of light pierced the battlefield. A sharp crack of thunder followed as arcs of lightning ripped through the enemy lines. Dragon lightning. Recognizing the spell immediately, the squad leader turned toward the source and exhaled in relief. "It's her, the vice captain," he muttered to the nearby civilians. "You're safe now." Rain May landed gracefully at the center of the chaos, her hands already glowing with another spell. She raised her voice with commanding resolve. "I'm going to teleport as many civilians as I can. All members of the Nixir Red Dragon raid force, tighten the formation. Guard the rear and prepare for an organized retreat." "Yes, ma'am," came the united reply. Rain Mai's eyes flicked nervously toward the direction of the castle, where a muffled boom could be heard. "An explosion? Inside the castle? Cardi, please hold on. I'm coming." At the castle, flames burst violently through shattered windows. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and heat. Cardi stood amidst the destruction, chest heaving, his body cloaked in searing dragon fire armor. He had just launched a devastating fire spell against his opponent, a paladin dressed in ivory steel, now wreathed in smoke. But the figure stepped forward through the haze, largely unharmed. "Well now," the paladin mused, brushing embers off his shoulder. "You've turned into a dragon, Sir Cardi? The heat is impressive, disorienting even. But it seems your spell wasn't enough to damage me. That couldn't have been your best, right? Let's see more." Cardi gritted his teeth and lashed out. With a roar, his tail-like appendage struck, slamming the paladin in a blazing arc. But again, the man emerged without injury. The paladin observed, "You aimed to melt rather than obliterate. You incinerated everything in the path of your strike, except me. It's impressive, but still not enough. I want to see more of that rage." Without replying, Cardi raised both arms high and brought them crashing down. The blows shattered the floor beneath as the paladin was driven into the ground. Dust and rubble exploded outward from the impact. But Cardi wasn't finished. Mana surged in his chest, and he unleashed a blazing torrent, dragon's breath, straight into the crater. As the molten blast consumed everything in its path, Cardi landed nearby and caught his breath. "I did it, just in time. Any longer in dragon mode and even I would have been finished. I can end it now." His armor shimmered and began to recede, until a low, mocking laugh echoed through the smoke. From within the bubbling lava, the paladin rose, still alive. "What a spectacular show," he said, voice calm and unshaken. "I had to brace myself for that one. But alas, not even a scratch. That was everything you had, wasn't it? If you have nothing left, then this is the end, Sir Cardi." A short time later, Raymay arrived at the castle ruins, eyes wide in horror at the devastation. She sprinted through the burning halls, shouting, "Captain? Cardi! Where are you? Please answer!" A blast from behind tore through a stone wall. Cardi's body slammed into it and crumpled to the ground, bloodied and broken. "Cardi!" she cried out, rushing to his side. "Are you okay?" Barely conscious, he gasped. "Raymay, you have to leave. Now." Tears welled in her eyes. "No! You need treatment. Let me help." He cut her off, voice pained. "Don't waste your mana." I said run. "But why?" The paladin entered from the smoke, voice amused. You've survived 6 fatal blows already. Thanks to that wonderful trait of yours. What was it called again? Yes, indomitable spirit. Quite the marvel, truly. Sir Cardi, the dragon slayer. May began to cast a spell, but Cardi stopped her with a sharp command. You can't fight him. That's an order. Get out of here. Go tell Ethelbrias what's happening. We're out of time. The paladin gave an exaggerated sigh. What devotion. What loyalty. It warms even my wicked heart. Cardi, still glaring at the enemy, spat out the truth. The entire paladin order, they're traitors. Every last one. The Pope's dogs. Remember that, May. Take this message back. Prepare the counteroffensive. Despite his protest, May placed a hand on his chest and cast a healing spell. I'll be waiting for you. I told you, save your mana. The paladin chuckled. Before you vanish, would you be so kind as to deliver a message for me as well? I would have contacted Riez after conquering Pelstein, but alas, those ignorant orcs destroyed the transmission devices. A foolish race, truly. Anyway, His Holiness has a warning for your side. You shall soon face the punishment of God. He added with a grin. And from me, personally, I look forward to seeing what your so-called warriors can really do. Cardi pushed himself up, determination burning in his battered frame. May, go. He lunged at the paladin, grabbing him by the waist and slamming him into the floor with explosive force. To act. He thought. That is my reason to fight. By acting, I eliminate hesitation. Ethelbrias. I've done all I could. Now, it's your turn to think. May, her cheeks stained with tears, completed the teleportation spell and vanished in a burst of light. Meanwhile, Cardi stood tall amidst the rubble, bruised and bleeding, yet unyielding. Mana surged around him once more. The paladin, slowly rising, licked his lips in anticipation. Yes, good. Show me to the very end, that indomitable spirit of yours. Cardi growled, voice resolute. We perish together, paladin. The scene shifted to one of the mages of the Red Dragon raid force. Planting his wand firmly into the ground, he invoked a spell, Entangle Roots. Immediately, thorn-covered roots burst from the soil, snaking and coiling around the legs of onrushing orcs, stopping them in their tracks. As he controlled the spell, the mage muttered to himself. There are still civilians trapped inside. I have to hold this position, no matter the cost, even if it means my life. Suddenly, a shockwave rippled through the area, throwing off his focus. A moment later, a powerful explosion shook the battlefield. His eyes widened as he saw the flames in the distance. That blast, was that the captain's dragon roar? Without hesitation, he dashed toward the source of the explosion. What he found made his heart sink. Captain Cardi, wounded and kneeling amid the rubble, his right arm missing. Captain? What happened? Your arm? The mage cried out, immediately attempting to cast a healing spell. Damn it, why isn't it working? Cardi's voice was strained but steady. You're here. Give me a situation report. Still channeling the healing spell with trembling hands, the mage responded. The castle has fallen. 53 civilians are still inside. They couldn't escape in time. 14 of our members remain. They've formed a protective circle around the civilians, but they're too afraid to move. What about the escape routes? Cardi asked. The nearest one is through the northern gate, the mage replied. But the orcs have already seized control of that area. Despite his injuries, Cardi began pushing himself to his feet. There's still a chance. We move now. The mage reached out to steady him. Captain, you're in no condition to fight. It's too dangerous. But Cardi's expression was firm. This happened under my command. I have a responsibility. The mage clenched his fists. It's not just your burden to bear. We all carry the weight of this. Cardi looked at him with resolve in his eyes. You already know whose lives matter most right now. Mine has reached its end. Let me use what's left of it, for the Empire. Without waiting for a response, Cardi limped toward the remaining Red Dragon members who were still shielding the civilians. Meanwhile, May reappeared at Ethelbrias' location through a teleportation spell. Bloodied and drained, she collapsed as medics rushed forward to tend to her wounds. Back at the ruins, the Red Dragon raid force continued their desperate defense. Their squad leader, blood trickling from his forehead, roared, Damn you orcs! Come at me! I'll drag at least 10 of you to hell with me! A massive orc chuckled, and the others followed suit with low, menacing laughter. "I go," one of them grunted, stepping forward. One of the Red Dragon members muttered, "That big one's going to be a problem." The squad leader narrowed his eyes. "So what? We're here to protect them, until the very end." As the orc lunged with dual axes, a blur of movement interrupted his charge. Cardi appeared, grabbing the orc by the skull and slamming it into the ground with devastating force, killing it instantly. The squad looked at him in shock, noticing his missing arm. "Captain? Are you alright?" Ignoring the pain, Cardi raised his voice, calling out to the civilians hiding nearby. "Hear me, brave citizens of the Empire! I am Cardi, the Dragon Slayer. I will see to it that you escape this place safely. You are the pride of our land, courageous, resilient. So rise! Stand for the last time. I will carve a path through the enemy. Follow me." One by one, civilians emerged from hiding. Seeing their determined expressions, Cardi nodded approvingly. "That's the resolve I want to see." He turned to his troops. "Nixir Red Dragon Raid Force. Prioritize the civilians' safety. Follow me, I will open the path." "Yes, sir!" they shouted in unison. "Let's go!" They charged forward with renewed energy, facing the orcs that blocked their only escape. Elsewhere, May, still weeping, reported everything to Ethelbrias, the dire situation of the Red Dragon Raid Force, and the Pope's horrifying betrayal. Moments later, the civilians and soldiers reached a large bridge. One of the members yelled, "We're almost there! Just across that bridge, almost safe!" But their hope was short-lived. A fresh wave of orcs appeared on the other side. One of them scowled. "Impossible! How did all the humans escape?" Cardi immediately stepped forward, blocking their path. "Captain? All civilians are across. We should," the squad leader began. "Go," Cardi ordered. They looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" "I'm destroying this bridge," Cardi said calmly. "You must ensure their safe arrival at the secure zone." "We can't just leave you here," they protested. "This is an order," Cardi said, smiling. "Running alongside you all was an honor." With tears in their eyes, they began crossing. "Captain, don't die!" Once they were across, Cardi smashed the foundation of the bridge with a flurry of heavy blows, sending it crumbling down behind them. He turned to face the orcs, eyes blazing. "You shall not pass!" An orc laughed. "One man? What can you possibly do?" Another muttered. "He is strong. Kill him, then chase the rest." They began chanting in an ancient Orcish tongue, preparing a powerful spell. Cardi narrowed his eyes. "So you're playing that game?" Just then, a massive presence arrived. "Kurak!" The towering orc commander barked. "Stop! Cease your spellcasting!" The orcs immediately obeyed. Cardi's eyes widened as the massive figure approached. Kurak stepped forward. "What is your name, human?" Cardi smiled, blood trickling from his lips. "Cardi. The Dragon Slayer." Kurak nodded. "I will remember that name." May, elsewhere, continued to cry, desperately begging Ethelbrias to save the squad. Back at the bridge, Kurak suddenly swung his axe. In a single, brutal motion, he cleaved through Cardi. The Dragon Slayer fell to the earth, lifeless. The orcs erupted into cheers. "Our great leader has slain the human!" As they moved to pursue the humans across the ravine, Kurak stopped them. "We will take another path." The orcs blinked. "But they're right there?" Kurak growled. "Do not make me repeat myself." He then turned to Daru, his shaman. "Bury him with honor. He was a warrior." And with that, Kurak turned and walked away. Later, the scene transitioned to Ethelbrias' quarters. The room was in disarray, papers scattered, furniture shattered. Ethelbrias sat silently on the floor before a shattered window, eyes hollow. "The Pope really did betray the Empire," he muttered. The scene flashes back to Hexable, who stood silently before a vast, hollow pit, one that marked the beginning of his existence. "It was here," he murmured, eyes hollow, "that I first became aware of myself. My evolution granted me self-awareness, something that shouldn't have existed within me. But even with that awareness, I could do nothing. I was still just food, fodder meant to be devoured by a higher being." He paused, the memory clawing at him. "I had already accepted that fate. I resigned myself to being nothing more than nourishment for an overwhelming predator. But then, he appeared. The predator, massive and godlike, towered over the pit. And yet, even that overwhelming force flinched when he arrived. Won't you end up swallowing all the sand too, if you go through with this? The predator asked, half mocking. Swallow, indifferent, simply replied. Doesn't matter. It's your last supper anyway. Hexable continued his recollection. He looked far weaker than the predator. But even a lowly thing like me could see it the moment he arrived. That man, he was myth incarnate. What happened next burned itself into Hexable's mind forever. The predator, one who had once consumed everything without resistance, was obliterated. Instantly. Without even the time to react, he was reduced to nothing more than feed. To him, even the predator was just sustenance. Hexable whispered in awe. He had turned to Swallow then, desperation flickering in his eyes. Am I allowed to dream a new dream? Swallow looked at him and shrugged. I don't know about dreams. But if you're that curious, follow me. I do need a few monsters to guard the dungeon. I want to be like him, Hexable had declared. Back in the present, Hexable stared toward the horizon, eyes burning. It won't be long now. Just a little more. The scene shifts to the primordial core. Swallow lay on the ground, his stomach swollen like a balloon. If you eat any more popcorn, your stomach's going to burst, Patrick commented with a deadpan voice. Mel's quipped. I'm starting to think you really will evolve into a pig, boss. Renee, ever loyal, smiled softly. I still like Mr. Swallow, even like this. Patrick threw up his hands. Seriously? How do you shovel that much food into your mouth? It's like it all vanishes into your gut. Swallow clutched his belly and groaned. Ugh, I think I'm gonna throw up. Ursabet smirked, cold and sharp. The moment you do, I'll cram more down your throat. Go ahead, test me. Swallow sighed. Look, it's not even about enjoying it. I just thought I should eat something while I watch. Renee chimed in with concern. Mr. Swallow, your diet isn't balanced at all. Should I bring you something else? No, Swallow replied flatly. Ursabet turned toward the battlefield feed. Anyway, things are about to get a lot more interesting. I think they're actually about to fight seriously. Patrick nodded. Yes, the annihilation war is finally beginning, Ursabet added. Things will stabilize once that red dragon bastard is dead. Swallow, leaning back, murmured. Yes. That human, he fought well. Patrick echoed. Cardi. He was skilled. Though he had weaknesses. Swallow asked. Who was he? Patrick answered. That red dragon guy. His name was Cardi. Mel's raised a hand. Sir Patrick, I have a question. What is it? There are a lot of orcs, right? I assumed they'd want to fight a large-scale battle in the plains. But it seems like the humans picked this battlefield. Patrick frowned. I don't know why they do that. Did they give up already? Mel's pulled out a map and pointed. Here, the Unknown Plains. The humans are on slightly higher ground, yes, but it's still flat terrain. There's no real advantage for them. Patrick examined the map more closely. Still, there are some places you simply cannot give up, even if it means fighting at a disadvantage. There are two paths into the Empire's heart. The first is the main route, guarded by a 6-layered wall in Riez. Not that it'll matter much to Kurak. And the other? Mel's asked eagerly. The teleportation hub. Hidden in the Unknown Plains, it allows direct transfer to the third layer of the wall. Ethelbriez, arms crossed, gestured towards Swallow. Remember, that little pig over there gave Kurak a time limit. That's why he's after the hub. Mel's brows furrowed. Then why don't the humans destroy the hub themselves? Isn't it better to fight at the walls? Ethelbriez replied. Because doing that means direct conflict with the paladins. Mel's nodded slowly. I see. Patrick added. And that is why I called this the Annihilation War. The orcs will end this within 3 weeks, because Swallow ordered it. The humans, meanwhile, must win and protect the hub. Neither side can retreat. Only one will walk away. Mel's asked quietly. But aren't the humans weaker? Patrick replied. Not overwhelmingly so. Ms. Ursabet, can you magnify it? Ursabet smiled slyly. Our adorable little miss. I'll show you. Patrick added. You know better than most, Ms. Mel's, sometimes, a single person can shift the tide of battle. A mirror projection revealed Dame Sion floating midair, her aura blazing. That's the warrior? Mel's asked. Patrick nodded. Seems the humans aren't without a plan. Then he paused, squinting. Ms. Ursabet magnified the center mirror. His eyes widened. Why is that human there? A few days prior, at the Historia training grounds, Wynne waved joyfully. Sir Ethelbrias! Welcome! Ethelbrias smiled. How's training going, Ms. Wynne? She groaned. Exhausting. This man's ruthless, but I like that. Ethelbrias turned to the one training her, Rashmare. Sir Rashmare, may I have a moment? I don't mind. They stepped aside, leaving Wynne to resume training. Ethelbrias spoke solemnly. Sir Cardi has fallen. I see, Rashmare said. Was it Kurak? Or the gatekeepers? Ethelbrias shook his head. He was too strong for the gatekeepers. Kurak dealt the final blow, but the one who truly broke him was the paladin. The Pope's hand then, Rashmare muttered. It's clear now. And that paladin took no damage from Cardi. Rashmare blinked. That sounds exaggerated. Cardi's power isn't something you just shrug off. Ethelbrias nodded. Normally, I'd agree. Is the paladin wearing one of the 36th masterpieces? I believe so. Then, is it time for the warrior to step forward? Ethelbrias smiled faintly. Or perhaps you could go instead. I refuse, Rashmare said immediately. I won't get caught in your schemes. I understand. At that moment, Swallow's curse flared faintly across Ethelbrias's face. Rashmare noticed. That mark magic? Ethelbrias raised a hand to cover it. Yes. Trouble if Wynne notices. He asked. How's she doing? Rashmare's tone softened. Hard to describe. Byrne was a genius, and so am I. It took Byrne a week to adapt to swordplay. 2 months to replicate it. 6 months to own it. A year to transform it into something uniquely his. But that girl? I've only taught her a few days. She couldn't land a hit on the first day. Now she trades blows with me. Of course, I still land more hits. She trains with a gauntlet that can't even release aura. If it were real, I don't think I'd withstand it. Ethelbrias bowed slightly. Thank you for your excellent guidance. Rashmare continued. She hasn't added her own color to the technique yet. Training isn't over. And you plan to send her out already? Ethelbrias replied. Preparations are ending. Now that the Pope has revealed a masterpiece, it's safe to assume they've made their move. Let's talk to Wynne. Rashmare narrowed his eyes. Are you sure about this? About what? You're planning to expand the battlefield, to eliminate the Pope's faction, claim the masterpiece, and subdue Swallow. It sounds great on paper. But you know how many citizens have already died, thousands. That number will only rise. He paused. When Wynne finds out, will you be able to bear her wrath? Ethelbrias looked out silently and said, That, too, will have its purpose, when the time comes.
We got plenty more where that came from. Hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for even more amazing content.